Good morning, welcome to Atlanta Diaries number 3. At the first one, I kind of felt like that was cheesy, and I still do feel like it's cheesy calling these Atlanta Diaries, but I feel like it's cute, so, you know, it works. Hi, my name is Anna. If this is your first video, these videos are a little bit irregular based on like what else I put on my channel, but what I realized was that all of the vlogs and the videos I make on my channel could be placed anywhere, and I personally am placed in the great city of Atlanta, and so I've really made an effort in the past month or so to kind of get out and do more and see more of Atlanta, and then also document that so that you can see more of Atlanta, because it is an incredible city with a lot of culture, a lot of history, a lot of places to eat, things to do, people to see, and so these videos are getting just a small little handful of what Atlanta has to offer. The footage that you just saw, that beautiful skyline, is from the Jackson Street Bridge, which is a hot spot for taking pictures for sure, as I'm sure you could kind of guess based on the beautiful footage of the skyline, like I mentioned. But now we're in Old Fourth Ward, which is a neighborhood. Honestly, it's a very gentrified neighborhood in Atlanta, but our activity, at least our activity number 1 of the day, is that we're doing a Martin Luther King Jr. historical walking tour. So MLK Jr. has a lot of important sites in Atlanta, which we are going to see. And like I mentioned, I believe they're all in Old Fourth Ward as well. I guess I hope so if we're walking. We're not going too far, but it is a 2.5-hour tour. So I'll see how right it feels to take videos at different times. It might be phone footage, just depending on the people that I'm with and the privacy that they want, because something with these Atlanta Diaries as well is that I'm doing everything by myself. Granted, the walking tour like obviously is a group, I just don't know anyone in it, and so I'm becoming more comfortable getting out and doing things by myself, which I feel like is self-growth as well. But I am really excited to see this historical side of Atlanta, because not only does Atlanta have great brunch spots, the Beltline, cute painted walls to take pictures by, but also it really is a cultural hotspot just in its history and all. It has a lot to offer, and so I'm excited to be able to show that to you.
Something is happening in our world. The masses of people are rising up, and wherever they are assembled today, whether they are in Johannesburg, South Africa, Nairobi, Kenya, Accra, Ghana, New York City, Atlanta, Georgia, Jackson, Mississippi, or Memphis, Tennessee, the cry is always the same: we want to be free.
You would not believe the lengths that this slutty vegan and I traveled to be here. We're in Piedmont Park right now, which, if you know from the second video in this little series, I tried to come on a picnic in Piedmont and there was a festival going on. Today, thankfully, there is not, so I was able to get parking. It's so peaceful, it's so beautiful. I'm in the shade because it's gotten hot, but slutty vegan for lunch. I went right after the tour, and I've really been looking forward to going to Slutty Vegan. It actually is the one, I feel like this third video is everything coming together. Slutty Vegan is the restaurant that I wanted to go to in Atlanta Diaries episode 1, that I was like, oh, I want to go to this restaurant, but it's not open yet. That was Slutty Vegan. How many times can I say this restaurant name before I get demonetized? I hope the wind isn't bad. But it's entirely vegan. There's a few locations around Atlanta. It's Black owned. They really give back to the community in cool ways, and it's really just fun to be in there. I'm going to eat before doing any kind more chatting because the girl is starving. Yeah, so I'm almost not even sure if this is something to be embarrassed of, but I wasn't even positive that Martin Luther King Jr. was born in Atlanta, but he was born and raised here. And I just think it's so important to get to know that history because I learned so many cool things. So we started at Ebenezer Baptist Church, which is where his dad preached and where he grew up, and then where he preached, and also where his funeral was after he was assassinated. We went by his childhood home. We got to learn a lot about the like kind of side characters in his life, I guess, like the people who paved the way for him to be able to have as big of an impact as he did in the civil rights movement, such as his grandpa, his dad, and then just other movements that were happening in Atlanta at that time. We got to visit the Old Fourth Ward, which really I just didn't know the history of at all, but the Old Fourth Ward was a like booming black mecca. It was the richest black street in America for a while until white Americans, white Atlantans didn't like that and built an interstate straight through it that disconnected the black family homes from the black owned businesses in Old Fourth Ward, and the neighborhood just entirely shut down because they couldn't function anymore because the interstate was being built there. And like that's an interstate that I take regularly, and I just didn't know the destruction that it caused because Old Fourth Ward really hasn't come back. There's a lot of empty buildings, it's lots of rundown blocks, and then lots of like plaques commemorating the civil rights people, but it's surrounded by such rundown buildings. Some vendors are just now starting to come back, but there really just are not that many. But finally we also got to see the memorial for Dr. King that is still in Atlanta, and it was designed by Coretta, and now she lies there too as of 2006 when she passed, but she got to design it. And so it's a pool that resembles the pool like in Washington DC. I forget what that pool is called, like around the Washington Monument. And so just lots of good things to learn, especially because I drive those streets so often and I just didn't know the history behind it. And Atlanta really is built on black culture, and so me moving here, it's important for me to kind of understand like the history of Atlanta and like how it got to be where it is today, because I am benefiting from that now by living here. I am so glad that our Atlanta Diaries episode 3 went so well. I hope that you got to see a little bit more of Atlanta. I know I definitely learned so much today that part of me is embarrassed for not knowing before because I live here. So like I should know the history and the areas and everything. And said I didn't even know for real that Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. rests here to this day. So I think if you visit, those were some cool things to see. Piedmont Park is just a like generic must. Like any list you see things to do in Atlanta will probably say Piedmont, and it really is a good option, especially because it's a free park. It's just a public park. Parking is paid, but like it cost me $3 today. I think it's an initial $2 and then $1 for parking every hour after that, which is totally reasonable. Slutty Vegan, again, how many times can I say that restaurant name before I get demonetized? But also really good. The burger didn't taste vegan. It didn't have any kind of plant-based taste at all. It just tasted like a burger. So either they have the biggest scam out there and it's really just regular burgers, or they're just incredible, which I think they are. And then of course our Martin Luther King Jr. historic walking tour. I learned literally so much. I'm glad that this was a little like tie the first and second time we took these field trips up in a little bow, because like I said, Slutty Vegan couldn't go the first video, was able to go this time. Piedmont couldn't go the second video, was able to go this time. And so I'm like riding a little high right now. I appreciate you for joining me. If you ever want to visit Atlanta, let me know. I hope I'm showing you fun parts of the city. Makes it seem enticing. It really is just such a cool city, and I feel lucky every day that I get to be here. Subscribe before you go, and I'll see you next time.